Welcome to LinesToGo installation videos. Today we will be removing and installing brake lines on a 1997 GMC Sierra 2500 with LinesToGo part number BLC-209-SS. While this particular installation is on a 97 GMC Sierra 2500, this set of lines will also work on the following year, make, and models as shown in your screen now. LinesToGo lines are made using original equipment end forms and fittings that are CNC bent for an easy and precise installation. We have also upgraded to stainless steel braided Teflon hoses for rust protection and to prevent surface fouling. These have an unlimited shelf life and anti-static PTFE liner. This set of LinesToGo lines are made from 304L stainless steel for rust resistance that exceeds OEM standards. Tech tip: disconnect the battery before working on a vehicle to reduce the risk of shorting out the battery on tools or lines. LinesToGo lines are made with a sectional design for easier installation. We also use color-coded unions on our sectioned lines. Just match the colors of the connections. Make sure to depressurize the fuel system before starting the installation. Tools required: 10mm, 13mm, 15mm, and 22mm sockets and ratchet, 5/16 of an inch, 8, 10, 11, 12, 14, 15, 16, and 19mm wrenches, flat blade screwdriver, drain pan, cutting pliers, floor jack, and jack stands. The level of difficulty for this installation is considered to be easy. Start by disconnecting both batteries using a 5/16 of an inch wrench. Remove the 4 bolts securing the front lower cover using a 15mm socket. Using a 14mm wrench, remove the 2 threaded fittings located in the master cylinder along with the 5 fittings in the ABS module. Remove the primary and secondary lines from the vehicle. Using a 22mm socket, remove both front wheels from the vehicle. Using a flat blade screwdriver, remove the rubber guard located inside of both front wheel wells. Using a 14mm wrench, remove the threaded fitting at the left front flex line. Using a pair of cutting pliers, cut the right front line at the union located inside of the left front wheel well. Remove the lines from the plastic brackets located along the frame. Remove the left front line from the vehicle. Remove the first section of the right front line from the vehicle. Using a 14mm wrench, remove the threaded fitting at the right front flex line. Using a pair of cutting pliers, cut the right front line at the front of the vehicle. Remove the wiring harness loom from the plastic clips at the front cross member and remove the brake line by pulling up on the clip and slide the line out. Remove both remaining sections of the right front line from the vehicle. Using a flat blade screwdriver, loosen the 2 clamps at the fuel filler neck, securing the filler neck hose and the vent hose. Remove both hoses from the fuel filler neck. Support the fuel tank and, using a 15mm socket, remove the bolt securing the rear fuel tank strap. Using a 15mm socket, remove the nut securing the front fuel tank strap. Located on the outside of the driver's side frame, use a 15mm socket to remove the 4 nuts securing the front fuel tank bracket. If your vehicle has running boards, you may need to use a wrench for some of these nuts. Remove the front fuel tank bracket from the vehicle. Start to lower the fuel tank, making sure to guide the fuel filler hose over the top of the frame rail. Once the tank is low enough to have access to the threaded fittings on the sending unit, disconnect them using a 16mm and a 19mm wrench. Disconnect the sending unit electrical connector. Continue to lower the fuel tank and set it aside. Using a pair of cutting pliers, cut the rear line at the front union, along with at the center of the vehicle and at the rear, cutting the line into 4 sections. Remove the front section of line from the plastic clip on top of the frame and remove the line from the vehicle. Remove the line from the plastic clips. If required, you can remove the plastic brackets along the driver's side frame using a 13mm socket for easier access. Remove the line from the vehicle. At the rear, use a 14mm wrench to remove the fitting from the top of the rear flex hose and remove the line from the vehicle. Remove both threaded fittings from the bottom of the rear flex hose using a 14mm wrench, along with the fittings on both rear wheel cylinders. Open the metal clips along the rear axle using a flat blade screwdriver. Remove both rear axle lines from the vehicle. The second set of numbers labeled on the line indicates its position. For example, this line is labeled as 04A, which makes this the first section of line making up the right front line. To begin the installation of your new LinesToGo brake lines, start by installing the first section of the rear feed line labeled 05A into position. Start the threaded fitting into the top right port on the ABS module. Install the next section of the rear line labeled 05B into position and start the threaded union with line 05A, noting the LinesToGo color-coded connections. Install the line labeled 05C into position, securing it into the plastic clips, and start the threaded union with line 05B. Install the final section of the rear feed line labeled 05D into position and start the threaded fittings at the rear flex hose and at the union with line 05C. Tighten the fittings in the rear flex hose and the ABS module using a 14mm wrench and at the 3 unions using 2 14mm wrenches. Install both rear axle lines labeled 06A for the left and 06B for the right into position and start the threaded fittings into the flex hose union and at each wheel cylinder. Tighten all fittings using a 14mm wrench. Secure the lines using the metal clips along the axle. Install the first section of the right front line labeled 04A into position and start the threaded fitting into the top center port on the ABS module. Next, install the line labeled 04B on the left front of the vehicle and the line labeled 04C on the right front of the vehicle. Start the 2 threaded unions by hand. Start the threaded fitting into the right front flex hose and tighten the fitting in the ABS module using an 11mm wrench. Tighten the fitting in the flex line using a 14mm wrench. Tighten the 2 unions using a 14mm and a 12mm wrench. Secure the right front line into the plastic clips. Next, install the left front line labeled 03 into position and start the threaded fittings into the top left port on the ABS module and at the left front flex hose. Tighten both fittings using a 14mm wrench. Install the primary line labeled 01 into the rear port on the master cylinder and the bottom left port on the ABS module, and the secondary line labeled 02 into the front port on the master cylinder and the bottom right port on the ABS module. Tighten all 4 fittings using a 14mm wrench. Start to raise the fuel tank into position. Once the tank is high enough that the flexible fuel lines can reach the sending unit, connect the electrical connector on the sending unit. Start the threaded fittings onto the sending unit. Tighten with a 16mm and a 19mm wrench. Continue to raise the fuel tank into position, making sure to route the filler neck over the frame. Install the front fuel tank support into position and using a 15mm socket, install the 4 nuts securing it into place. Tighten the rear fuel tank strap using a 15mm socket. Using a deep 15mm socket, tighten the front fuel tank strap and remove the support from under the fuel tank. Connect the filler neck tube and tighten the clamp using a flat blade screwdriver. Connect the vent hose at the top of the filler neck and tighten the clamp using a flat blade screwdriver. Using a 10mm wrench for the front and an 8mm wrench for the rear, bleed all 4 wheels, making sure to keep the master cylinder reservoir topped up. Replace the front lower cover using a 15mm socket. Replace the rubber splash guards inside both front wheel wells. Replace both front wheels and torque to spec using a 22mm socket. Reconnect both batteries using a 5/16 of an inch wrench. Next, remove the engine cover using a 10mm socket to remove the 4 bolts. To bleed the air from the fuel system, turn the key to the on position and loosen the bleeder knob located on top of the fuel filter to allow the air to escape. Tighten the bleeder once the bubbles stop, being careful not to over-tighten. Replace the engine cover and secure it using a 10mm socket. This concludes the installation of brake lines on a 1997 GMC Sierra 2500 with LinesToGo part number BLC-209-SS. Thank you so much for watching. If you have any questions or would like to purchase the lines you saw today, please call us at 1-855-781-5992. Email us at info@linestogo.com or check out our website link below. And don't forget to take advantage of our free 2-day shipping. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe button below, and we will see you on our next video.